Welcome, everybody, to the Cast from the Coast. My name is Adam Miles, and I'm joined, as always, by Josh Lambert and Tim Johnson. What are we talking about tonight, Tim?
Oh, we are continuing the Rec series. Tonight we're talking about Rec 3 Genesis.
Stay tuned.
Genesis.
Give us the synopsis, Tim.
Okay, a couple's wedding day turns horrific as some of the guests start showing signs of a strange illness.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah, excellent. Part 3 in the Rec series from Paco Plaza. What can I say? Let's start off with the story. So, the synopsis, very simplistic as it is. But this is what? What's so funny, Tim? What are you laughing at me now?
Because for a minute there, I hate to get off topic, fellas.
Okay.
But for a minute there, I feel like Adam went into full Jeff Goldblum. He was like, yes. Like it was funny.
Oh, that's amazing.
Sorry. Go on, continue.
Moving on. Okay. So here we have, once again, the third in the Rec series from Pago Plaza. This one, as the synopsis so bluntly put it, takes place during the wedding of two individuals. We have Clara and Caldo. This, as you begin to see things unfold, you realize takes place basically perpendicular to the events of the first and second movie. So this is taking place at the same time, essentially, over that time period. The beauty of this movie is, and it's something that we kind of promised Josh when we were talking about the first two movies, is that this is a good half and half. It starts off with the classic Rec, look and feel with the audio video equipment. It's found footage, but then it jumps into a cinematic movie.
And see, what I really dig about this series, and I said this the last one, and I think I said it in the first one, it makes sense why the cameras are there.
Mm-hmm.
And I really love the little, even though it doesn't make sense, but I love how the movie starts off like it's a wedding video. A wedding DVD, right?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, did someone edit this horrible footage together and put it as a wedding DVD? But
let's celebrate.
Yeah. But just that little touch at the start, and like again, it makes sense that there would be,
Sure.
some sort of recording device at a wedding, right? So,
Checks out.
yeah, I like how it keeps that going. But like Adam said, it switches to cinematic as well. So
I like how it really, even this movie introduces it to more of like a transition. So it introduces you to the wedding videographer, and he's got like the fancy Steadicam equipment. So it's not like shaky found footage. It's like smooth found footage, and then it goes into the cinematic. So it actually kind of holds your hand through the transition too, which is kind of funny.
did you appreciate that, Josh? The hand holding?
I appreciate the cinematic aspect of this film, where it wasn't shaky. That was great.
I feel like Josh.
I love how they poked fun at themselves, and the buddy with like the super high tech equipment looked at the guy with the little camcorder. It's like, you film that, your shit's gonna be unwatchable. Yuck 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 yuck. Like the first two movies were unwatchable.
They're very watchable,
They're
Josh.
extremely watchable, Josh. So, watch your mouth. Okay.
Josh.
Shut your mouth if you like this job. Okay, so so we have the wedding of these two people, and we get introduced to a whole bunch of interesting characters, which become bits of callback throughout the movie, and they're not even really important characters for the most part, but like we get like his grandfather, who like has like the hearing aids. And later on, you come to find out that the one thing that obviously stops them, which was introduced in the second movie, was the like the rites and the prayers and like the words of the Bible. Well, he's got his hearing aids in, but they're not even on, so the zombie's basically deaf, and it just goes crazy anyway, and it doesn't matter what's going on. So little throwbacks like that. The story is good in this movie in a few ways. One, it takes us out of the apartment complex from the first two movies. So it brings us to the broader world and introduces us to the havoc that can occur with this kind of a situation, this outbreak as it is, in the real world. So it enlarges things for us. Two, it puts a lot of people into this place, into this position. So now we go from being like a group of like 7 people to like 100 people at a wedding that are getting basically murdered and maniacally ripped to shreds.
Fair though, but to be fair, a lot of those people were in the background and really don't matter. Like, yes, I get what you mean. That yes, it's a bigger venue. Instead of being stuck in an apartment building, they're stuck in a fucking, wherever you hold weddings. Mm-hmm. I don't remember. Was it a church? I don't think it was.
No, it wasn't a church. It was like some sort of like historical building.
Yeah, it was like a hall or something.
Yeah.
Some sort of hall or whatever, right? But, like, I mean, they did all these changes, but they still kept the formula the same. Because there is only a core group of, like, 7 people. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's definitely variants of the formula. Like, this is them experimenting with something new.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Clara. Let's talk about Clara, the bride.
Let's talk about Clara.
Did anyone else get like mega Uma Thurman vibes from like Kill Bill?
When she's like
around kicking ass.
Yeah, yep. I could see that. So the one thing that I really like about this character is that she turns badass pretty fucking quick in this movie. So she's obviously scared. She doesn't know what's going on, but then when she realizes that her husband, the man that she just married literally a couple hours prior to this, is still alive because he gives the sign, she goes ass kick mode. And like it starts off with her taking a chainsaw to her dress to make a slit so that she can run in it. It was badass. So here's this adorable like little woman, like, because there's not much to her. She looks like she weighs about 110 pounds wet. And she's carrying this chainsaw that's like the size of her. And she's just running around badass with this thing. It was cool. It was cool. So I really like one of these character story arcs that when this occurs. And I really appreciated the fact that even though like we had Angela Vidal in the first one as a heroine, I mean, kind of a heroine. She was the main character and she was just kind of thrown into the mix of shit. Now we get the same type of a situation, but she turns the tides. And she goes from being just a survivor to a total badass, like we were kind of saying.
Do you want to know how I kind of took it, though, this time watching it? Was this fucked up her wedding.
I was just going to say that. Have you ever seen a bride on her wedding day?
Like this.
Well, she makes note of that, too.
Right? Like, yep. I feel that the transition made sense. Like... And yeah, I adored her. She made this movie like, I don't know, like fun. I don't know. I really like when she became badass because you don't expect it early on. Like she's just a beautiful bride at her wedding. You know what I mean? And then by the end of it, she's a fucking ass kicking, chainsaw wielding zombie killer. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was.
So I mean, spoilers obviously. I mean, we're talking about the movie here, but let's jump to the actual other side of her story arc here for a minute. The fact that she turns badass makes it even harder at the end of this movie. I felt bad for her. What?
We're gonna jump to the end of the movie already?
Well, we're
Yeah.
talking about the character arcs, yeah.
All right.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
sure.
Go ahead. Go. Do
So
you.
I felt
you.
I felt bad for her at the end of this movie. Because
Why?
after everything that she
Oh,
goes
that
through,
ending was heartbreaking.
it was heartbreaking, man. So she gets bitten and she turns.
Don't give that fucking look, Josh, you cynical bastard.
That was a good ending.
It was
Yeah,
a
but I
great
felt
ending,
bad
but
for
you
her.
feel bad
Heartbreaking.
for her.
No.
And it was even sadder when like she basically rips her own husband's face off and they're like laying on the ground and he's like grabbing for her hand and like they die like the Romeo and Juliet lover type of characters, you know what I mean? Like it was heartbreaking. It actually is one of the few times in a horror movie where I felt bad for the death of characters.
Say that you cried.
You big softy.
I didn't cry.
You
I mean, I
did,
might have
so.
teared a little bit, but I didn't cry. The tears did not enter, out or did not exit my eyes.
Full of shit statement. Full of shit statement.
Fine, I might have teared up a little bit more than that, but still, come on. Don't say you didn't, Tim.
Oh, I'm not gonna lie. When I saw it, it was very like I felt it. Yeah, I felt really bad for her and her husband and this beautiful day. And Josh is shaking his head. Aren't you getting married soon, Josh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought
well,
it was a good ending.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Oh, geez.
No,
there-
it is a
there's
good
a good
ending.
ending.
I mean, till
no,
death
it's
do them
absolutely
part.
good ending.
I
When
was
Allison
impressed. I
becomes
was all waiting.
badass. She becomes badass at your guys' wedding, killing zombies.
I was just waiting for them to get out alive, and that'd be the end of the movie, and happily ever after. And then they hit me with a right hook right there, bam boom.
It was a well placed one.
Yeah, and I mean, it is kind of the theme of this series so far is they're not happy endings in any of them.
No.
Not supposed to be. It's a horror movie.
Exactly, Josh.
Yep.
Exactly.
But it kind of sucks because you're kind of thinking to yourself, you're going to finally get that final girl trope in the movie series. And then, nope, she gets one right in the hand. She gets bitten. And she turns. And not only does she turn, but she murders her husband.
That they go through that phase in like the classic zombie film. They're bitten, so they have to chop their hand off. It's like, surprise, shit, it don't work.
Yeah, that shit just don't happen. That's right. So her husband, Coldo, so he kind of plays on the other side of things. So as we're going through the movie, they get separated and they both kind of have their own little journeys before they get back together. That's kind of how the movie kind of separates the two stories here. So admittedly, I didn't find his story or his side of things to be as intriguing as hers. It was, good. It had a couple of good jump areas, jump scares, and the characters that were in it were, interesting, right? But he was I don't even know how to put it. He was just there.
Yeah, but
He
you
had a
want to
suit
know
of armor.
What?
how I took it though was okay. So you got Clara's story arc that's very hyper realistic and well, I shouldn't say hyper realistic, but like over the top, what you would expect in a zombie movie, right? And I felt that her husband was more realistic of how most normal people would act during a zombie apocalypse.
True,
You know
I
what I
guess.
mean? Like he's running and hiding, going through fucking pipes and shit. You know what I mean? Like I just felt like it was a good contrast to how badass she was because it is kind of playing against the trope. I mean, I know in most horror movies, if the woman's surviving, she's the one kicking ass, right? But like you would expect, this guy to get a set of balls and try to, protect his loved ones and shit, and he's hiding and shit, right? While his little adorable wife is the one with the chainsaw killing fucking zombies. So I don't know. That's kind of how I took it. I mean, I kind of watched it this time with like fresh eyes. I wasn't, as Adam likes to say, watching it with rose-colored glasses. I'm trying to
I
be.
just loved it when he suited up in an armor.
Yeah.
Like, what the actual?
Yeah, him and the other guy. Because that's what I was saying. It was almost like a historical building of some kind. Because it had like a mini museum and shit in there. And that's what they did was they like loaded up on like armor with like medieval weapons and shit. It was kind of funny that way. Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I actually went into this watching this like with a fresh set of eyes too, Tim, because I remember watching this like when it first came out and like one other time.
Yeah,
And that was
yeah.
like way back when. So I haven't seen this in probably, well, I don't know. I want to say I haven't probably seen this movie in about yeah, probably about 7 years now. So
Yeah, I haven't. I haven't. I think I saw it. I didn't even really, like I said, I didn't find out that they even made a bunch of sequels because again, my only real thing originally was Quarantine, and then
yeah.
I was like, what? There's like actual Italian ones, so I didn't even know Rec 3 was coming out,
Hmm.
and then I saw it like probably a year after, so probably about 2013.
Hmm.
That was the
Oh,
last time I watched it, but I
okay.
remember a lot.
Hmm. Okay. Josh,
Yeah.
I really
So I just
kind of
had a
want.
question of
Okay, go ahead.
before we get into notes.
I wanted to
So
talk about the big bearded fat guy. He was my favorite.
Okay, we'll talk about him then. Josh, you ask your question first.
so it's a virus, but it's like demonic, and there's a parasite.
Mhm.
What's the link here? Does it get explained in the further films,
I
or is it
don't.
just kind of
I
left
think. I think it's a.
ambiguous?
Yeah, I think it's ambiguous. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't
it's
even think it really matters,
No, it doesn't. I'm just
right?
trying to wrap my head around it. So, like, it's clearly a viral, like a medical virus.
so the way that they try to explain it as you go through the series is that it's a they basically say that it was born from evil.
Right.
So it's like a demonic plague, right? So it's you're the way that it
Yeah.
affects you is it basically possesses you, but you're infected. So there's a medical and scientific explanation for what's going on to your body, but the origin is that of a more of a religious dark aspect to it. The
Almost like
actual
think of it like a religious plague. You know what I
yeah,
Yeah,
mean? Like,
because the little slug thing is like a straight up parasite, but
but
it is
that's
demonic.
the other thing is that they're trying to explain almost like that parasitic slug thing is almost like the beginning of it.
Right.
That is like the
That's patient
host.
zero.
That's
That's like
patient
step
zero
one.
scenario. That's like if you would consider this to be like a demonic biblical plague, that would be
Yeah.
like the demon seed
Right.
that starts this is what it would be. So it kind of actually, and this is what we talked about when we were talking about the first movies. It kind of bridges that science and religion
Yeah.
gap
Yeah.
and brings them together that way. But it leaves it very ambiguous, very ambiguous, like Tim said. So
Cool. I was just wondering if we get an explanation down the road or not.
as much as
Anyway.
that,
there's only one movie left.
Tim, talk about the fat bearded guy.
I love the fat bearded guy. That's it.
Is that all?
You're
That's all.
just gonna mention him. Got to give him
I
some
saw
props.
no. Do you know what? I was like, if Adam was Italian and in this movie,
Fuck's sake!
that would be Adam.
I can't even
Because
remember what his
he
name
had all
is.
the fucking like I
He had
just
all the
liked him.
gear, and
He had all the gear. He just reminded me of Adam.
he was just a geek.
Yeah. That's it. That's all. I liked him.
Okay.
Okay. All right, Josh. I really wish to hear what you have to say about this movie.
Very well.
I love how he just turns it on like a very well.
First viewing of Rec 3 took place August 26, 2020 at 9:01 p.m. Some sort of wedding DVD menu, okay? Quote, all the shit you shoot is going to be unwatchable. I love this meta joke. I know I mentioned earlier, but man, do I love that little dig. I hope they get all this shaky cam shit out of their system real quick. Oh shit, a dog bite. This dog really got around when it was at the vet.
Max.
So they do make that bridge to Max from the first movie.
Yep.
This guy's burn stash is next level. So did you
Oh,
guys see
that
the
guy.
guy in
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
background with
The
like the
fucking drinking the beer.
1930s burn stash?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a shitload of people at this wedding. A zombie outbreak is going to be tight. Cutting the cake with a big ass sword. I better see this sword come back and fuck some zombies up later. is this guy SpongeBob SquarePants or something?
Sponge John.
And then immediately next line, Sponge John. Bah ha 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 ha. And the movie starts now. Okay. Foot drop number 1. My biggest pet peeve of fucking found footage movies, when they drop the camera and you just see a bunch of feet. Luckily, I think that was the only time this happened in this one, actually.
I think you're
So
right.
they did get all that out of its system. They still wanted to pay homage to the fact that they're a found footage series, and this is how the series is built, and I get that. And my next line was, okay, wow, now the movie really starts. Okay, so we've entered full cinematic at this point. Oh shit, it's cinematic now. Excellent. A royalty lawyer. That's so hysterical that he's one of the characters that survives and is like around with the group. Just this random guy who's not even part of the wedding party. He's just there to make sure that the royalties get paid. Oh man, royalties has some serious built up aggression. He just starts wailing on that zombie.
Wouldn't you?
I know because I can censor. What the actual fuck are they on about?
You
They
can...
mention it all through the movie that they can sense each other. It's like, no. Fucking all armored up. The priest with a pool cue. That's something I gotta give props to this movie. They use a lot of just random weapons. They're just
Yeah.
whatever's around. So whoever did the writing for that, when you're doing a zombie movie with a ton of zombies, you had to come up with creative ways to kill them. And I think this movie did that pretty well.
Yeah.
They're not zombies. They're just banging behind the chair.
Oh yeah, yeah.
A quote that is in almost every movie that references the Bible in any way. As I walk through the valley of death, ... So that quote has kind of been synonymous with Hollywood's interpretation of including the Bible.
Jesus.
This guy is doing mass exorcism. He's just hitting them all at once. This movie definitely gets creative with the weapons. Morning star to the dome. Not something you see in every zombie movie.
Yeah.
But we should.
Right?
It's a
Oh
good
my
one.
fuck. Sponge John with a black powdered long gun.
When they meet up with them, yeah.
Why is he still in the Sponge John suit? And then again, it's almost like clockwork when I have a thought. The next line on the dialogue, he's naked under there. The indie role in a wedding dress, pretty cool. Why are they just lollygagging around? Like, just get the fuck out. If they were... You could have been out of here and you all could have survived. It's not that big of a building. But they're all lollygagging, running around in circles. Fuck off. The bride just got a chainsaw. First time I've seen an emulsion blender used to kill a zombie. Again, props to the guy who wrote in the weapons. She's a fucking savage, making quick work of these zombies. Nope, he's infected. Chainsaw his ass, no questions.
Oh yeah, she took his head right off.
And then I just wrote, atta girl. If they focused on getting the fuck out, they would have been together by now. Yes, they brought back the sword. Excellent. Don't ditch the saw. Why did she ditch the saw? How often does a zombie apocalypse affect only your family? When you think about this, like, the mentality of going through a zombie apocalypse in any other reality of which that happens, it affects the world.
Mm-hmm.
This is exclusive to just you and your family. So,
And friends.
Right. Everyone you know, essentially. Everyone you love and like. In any other zombie reality, you're dealing with the fact that you just lost everyone you loved, but so is everyone else. So you kind of have that connection with people. This film, like the reality outside of it, they're just, oh, I guess everything we know and love is gone now. Nice callback to the hearing aid. Excellently done. Chop off her hand scene.
Love it.
You fucked around too long. Now you're all quarantined. The old arm chop didn't work. And then my last note is just, now that's an ending.
Nice. So I get the impression Josh really liked this. So I can't wait to hear Josh's final thoughts. So we'll just kind
I
of.
think this is my favorite one thus far.
Well, you didn't really like the first two very much, so this better be your favorite one.
It's Phantasm all over again.
3.
Gosh, it's the third one. Yeah.
Nice.
Hi everybody, this is Vincent DeSanti, the writer and director of Friday the 13th fan film Never Hike Alone, and you are listening to the great commentary of They Cast from the Coast. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to check out Never Hike Alone, which is streaming for free on YouTube right now.
Tim, I do believe it's time for some trivia.
Yeah, we can do trivia time. I thought that the flow of the show we would have talked about special effects, but that's fine. We'll switch it up.
Well, we can do some trivia, and then we'll talk about the special effects.
That's fine. There's not a lot of trivia with this one. I looked it up earlier. So, comic book artist Tony Moore, known for his work in The Walking Dead, drew a poster for this film's promotion in the United States, and it was actually pretty badass. I'm a fan of Tony Moore's work. It's really simple, very iconic, specifically for The Walking Dead. So to see him branch out and do another zombie thing was really cool. I'm gonna butcher these poor people's Spanish names, and I apologize. My ignorant North American tongue is gonna butcher them. Leticia Dorella had previously played Angela, the reporter from the previous Wreck films, in the parody Spanish movie. The Wreck scenes are also featured directors. That made no sense whatsoever at all. So moving on. The origins of the demonic outbreak are explained in the graphic novel Wreck, released alongside Genesis in Europe. So there you go, Josh. They explained it. Yeah. Genesis. I didn't know that. This is kind of weird. Both actress Leticia Dolera and Manuel Velasco, star of the first two Wreck films, share the same birthday, although Dolera is 6 years younger. 2 months before shooting, Miss Dolera went to a gym with a personal trainer, training 5 days a week to prepare for the zombie slaying scenes, which makes sense.
Yeah.
This movie isn't a sequel, but a parallel event to Wreck, based on the two scenes. First, when Emilio tells Alex, who was holding the camera at around 4 minutes, about the wound on his hand and being bit by a dog that was that was thought to be dead at the vet clinic that he works, and it turns out it's the same dog from the first one,
Max.
Max. And then the second is when they're in the control room at around 41 minutes, and behind them on the TV screens, it's showing all scenes also from the first Wreck movie of the quarantined apartment building, which I noticed. Clara and Cold walk through their I can't speak tonight. It's been a while since I've done this, so I'm sorry. Clara and Cold walk through the infected guests after they are contained by the priest's prayers. A similar alternative ending to Wreck had Angela going downstairs through paralyzed infected residents of the building also. And that's trivia time with Tim.
Trivia time with Tim!
Sorry, I didn't have my A game tonight. Sorry, guys.
It's okay.
Next episode, we'll pick it up.
Next episode. Okay. So, yes, let us talk about the effects work in this movie. So, one thing that was always...
Thanks! Good night!
Good night! So, This movie has some great FX work. So one of the things that's always been cool about the Rex series is that it's always been about the zombies and the general infection look of the creature characters, as well as the general jump scenes, like when the bodies fall off of the balcony and land on the ground, and you get the extra gore and stuff like that. But once again, as per what Josh has stated many times in the past talking about the other movies, little too much because, you know, shaking cameras, and it just kind of ruins the effects for him. But now we get a cinematic flair to it, and it really starts to show off the actual effects work that they put into this. And we've talked about quite a few things already uh, surrounding the effects work, which has to do with the absolute awesome uh, diversity of weapons that they use in this movie. And that really brings a lot of the effects work out. So you get the Morning Star to the head we talked about, which was a great one.
Oh, it was awesome. Like the gore effects when that Morning Star comes out. Like there's guts and stringy goo that come with it.
Yeah, it's just a lot of brain and effluence at that point. The immersion blender.
That's my favorite.
That is officially Josh's favorite in this one, the immersion blender. It is. It's a different way to deal with that, right? Like, who the hell would have thought of an immersion blender? And obviously somebody's like, it's a wedding gift. It's a wedding, so there's got to be something like that around, or in a kitchen or something. You know what I mean? So yeah, just throw it in there somewhere, right? So one of the zombies does get that in the head. Right down to, even though the CGI is in this movie, I thought it was fairly tasteful. One of my favorite scenes is, in fact, the one where he takes her arm off with the sword.
Yeah.
And even though it is CG, it was well done. And the after effects of her walking around with the lack of an arm, you know, and basically, you know, with the tourniquet on and stuff like that. And you can already kind of see her turning into a zombie at that point, because now she's stumbling, she's weak, she's missing an arm, she's bleeding everywhere, her makeup's running. It's, you know what I mean, like she basically is death walking at that point. And I thought that just the makeup job on the people was amazing to begin with, not just the gore and the effects work, but the actual makeup job that they put into that kind of a thing was great.
I just love that fake out. Because once that arm's chopped off, we're trained to know, okay, she's good.
Not in this case. That's right, they
And
do.
it makes sense.
Yeah. It's like the 5-second rule don't work, bro.
I almost had to go to the 10-second rule. Oh man. Yeah, so Josh, you said that your favorite was the immersion blender.
Yep.
Tim, what was your favorite?
Morningstar, man, the Morningstar.
Morningstar.
Morningstar
was
was great. But the thing that my real favorite thing was all the, like, I love when it, like, okay, so we're doing found footage, and then it switches to cinematic, and then you're like, oh, it's all cinematic now, if you were just here for found footage, and then it does like security cam footage, and I loved the one where they're looking at the parking lot, and the people are trying to get on the bus, and then all the zombies are going on the bus. Like, that's zombie shit to me. Like, that, I'm gonna go to this unescapable confined place to try to be safe, and nope, we're gonna go in and get you. We're gonna get you. You know what I mean? All the stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
I thought this movie was nonstop. And you know, when one plot was starting to slow down a little bit, the other one, we go to the other one, and they're running and trying to get away, and then the other one. Like, I couldn't look away for the hour and a half that I watched this. Like, there was no pulling out the phone for me.
See, now, traditionally with the subtitle films, I have a harder time connecting with the characters because I don't know what they're saying in sync with what they're saying. I don't have a voice to connect. I'm reading while trying to piece together what's happening.
Right.
I think the effects work and the story elements of this film made up for that. For me, anyways.
Well, I did find having, you know, this is going to sound like I'm like flirting with Clara again, but I'm not. But having someone be your lead with such expression and emoting and you don't even understand what the fuck she's saying, right? Like if you're reading and all that. Like I felt like as long as I was watching her scenes, I didn't have to read what was being said. I could read what was right on her face, right? So yeah, that's my little 2 cents on that.
She definitely did emote a lot of the actual story through it. I mean, she was upset. So once again, the extra makeup from her eyeliner and eyeshadow and shit like this that was just pouring down her face, and her expressions as to when she hears the sound, that her husband is, and she perks up, she knows he's alive. Like, yeah, you didn't have to read the subtitles for that shit. She's trying to find her husband, she knows he's alive now, she turns badass mode, right down to when the guy, actually gets bitten, and he's like, oh, you know what to do, and she just takes his freaking head off, which was amazing. Like, yeah, I agree, she really didn't, you didn't need to know what she was saying to know what she was doing or what she was thinking.
For sure.
Yeah.
Almost as if Adam shares the same
sentiments. That's right. my second favorite gore situation in this movie, actually, my second favorite effect work in this one, had to be when she was turned into a zombie and she was in his arms, and she ripped his face off. Like, right, she just like did the kiss and then just ripped his, like, the front of his face off. I thought it was great because then she's like full out zombie and she's like yelling and like screeching, and he's sitting there like basically shaking, dying. And what happens next? They just gun them down, and it was just, the whole scene played together extremely well, for what it was. So
no, it was a very good ending.
It was a very good ending. Josh liked that.
My mic's falling over.
Well, pick up your mic, Tim, because it's time for you to tell us what you thought of this movie.
I gotta rate it now. I'm going first.
You're going first, Tim.
That's unfucking heard of.
Well, because
unheard of.
It's Tim's
in the history of this show. Okay, well, as I've said many times, I'm a big fan of this movie. I like that they didn't really try to reinvent the wheel with their formula, but they added enough new kind of flair to keep it interesting, because we're on the third entry of this series. How many different ways can we talk about a zombie apocalypse? And I'm putting that out there to all storytellers and filmmakers. It's been done. It's all been done. I mean, different settings or whatever, but I felt like this one, I don't want to say that it was like, uber amazing or like life-changing. It's the greatest zombie movie ever made, but I think in the context of this series, it was like kind of a breath of fresh air. I really dug how it was a combination of found footage, so it's paying tribute to the first two entries, but this one is trying to stand on its own, because I felt Rec 2 was so much a direct sequel to Rec 1, and there's nothing wrong with that, but like I found a lot of the tropes in the first one were almost beat for beat with the second one. Like it was very similar movies.
Rec 1 and 2 are one movie in my opinion. Like, it runs right together.
Yeah. But I felt this one wasn't that, because with the distinction of it being more cinematic. I felt that I attached myself to the characters a little bit more. I felt like just the contrast between the bride and groom both going on their own adventures, and they're two completely different tones. I mean, yes, they're hiding and trying to find zombies, but one becomes badass, one's not as badass, even though when they're sneaking around in their armor, like, and I mean, he did have probably my favorite kill with the Morning Star. I thought the acting was good. I thought the fucking gore effects were great. I thought the zombies looked great. Like we've already said, the plethora of different fucking killing utensils that they used in this movie was great. I thought it was fun. I'm going to give it a well-deserved R.
Well-deserved R rating. That's great.
R rating.
Sweet! That kind of keeps it up
R
because
for
you...
really nice.
You're really nice.
Real nice.
Josh, do you share the same
Yes, sir.
sentiments? Please tell us.
I like this film as a standalone. If I was to just watch this film, I don't think I'd have a whole lot to say negative about it. But knowing that it's part of this series of found footage kind of irks me that they did such a good job on this one. And it's like, why didn't you just do this all the way through? Why you gotta do the shaky cam? The effects were great. I could see them. The story was great. I wish they, again, pushed a little more on the religious aspect. I like that it was stopped with like the rites and the incantations being put over the speakers. It was like a mass exorcism, which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
I love the idea of zombie outbreaks in kind of weird places, because you got to think like there's something going on at all times when a zombie outbreak happens, be it a wedding, a bar mitzvah, people on a plane, a train, a boat, whatever. People podcasting. Who knows when the zombie outbreak's gonna happen? We've already discussed the plethora of weapons in this movie. The emulsion blender, I think that may be a first for a zombie movie.
The guns,
Like,
love
yeah.
it.
The badass with a chainsaw. What more can you ask for when she's like holding her dress out to chainsaw off her dress so she can get around quicker?
I was like, that is so hot.
Right? And then when her buddy gets bit, and it's like zero hesitation, chainsaw right through the dome, boom. I really enjoyed this movie. I don't know if I'd recommend a third in a series in the first two that I didn't like, because that puts people in kind of an awkward situation. It's recommended, so what are you gonna just skip the first two? But
hey,
based on its
we're
own
talking
merits.
about Rec 3 tonight.
But here's the problem: that you're not, though. It's part of a series. When you talk about Army of Darkness, you can't talk about it as if the other two don't exist. When you talk about Gremlins 2, you can't talk about it as if there was no Gremlins 1. It is part of a series. The fact that it does come from found footage and is a foreign film, and that's going to turn off a lot of people. I'll give it an R with the caveat of be aware that the first two in the films in the series may not be your cup of tea. But if you just want a good zombie movie, this movie I recommend.
Sweet. Josh gives it an R rating. Nicely done, Josh.
Nice job selecting a movie that we like. Good job.
Thank you for finally seeing it our way.
No. This isn't the same as the other two movies. This is a completely different style of film.
Yeah, that's true too. Okay. I like this movie. In fact, I like this movie potentially better than the first two. And I'm going to say that after having just seen this movie for the first time in close to 7 years, and I've watched part 1 and 2 more times than I can count. This movie really does have it all. It improves on the formula of the first two. It keeps the same aesthetic and feeling. The storyline continues. The characters are fun. The main character is badass, and I love her to death in this movie. And it has a wonderful, wonderful twist to it with the way that the ending happens. I will admit, I love the first movie and the second movie. But this, it got better. Like, I didn't, like, it really does get better with this movie because there's just so much to love about this. And I can't say that it's because it isn't shaky cam, because I love that about the first two movies. It's the aesthetic and the way that they are. It adds to the atmosphere for me. But it's just, there's something about the fact that this exists in the same world. It references the rest of the movies. It just is part of this series, but it's like they really brought their A game. It feels to me almost like this is the story they originally wanted to tell if they had the budget at the beginning.
Mm,
I don't know,
Let's
man.
think.
Like,
I can respect that opinion. I can, but I feel that the movie, the first one, was so well crafted for the type of movie that it was.
Yeah.
Okay. And he went above and beyond to do all these things for that first movie. I think I get what you're saying.
hmm
I feel that Rec 3 obviously wouldn't happen if Rec 1 and 2 weren't there. And I feel that Rec 3 is the progression of experience with this filmmaker.
sure.
See, I see Rec 1 and 2 as found footage films, and Rec 3 over here as a zombie movie that he's just set in the same universe. And I think that that's a differentiation to make, because 1 and 2 I don't see as just like a pure zombie movie. That's more of a found footage. And I think what happened was he had multiple ideas, and one of his ideas was to make a mass zombie movie with a crowd of horde of zombies. And that is what got turned into Rec 3, and he just kind of set it in the same universe.
Yeah. And absolutely. I mean, think about that for a second. You always like if you've ever had an idea for a story or a movie or anything, your brain always goes off to say, "I wonder what else could be happening too." So
Right.
you make one story, and then you're thinking about other things that could potentially be happening, and you know what I mean. There's all that kind of stuff, but it just feels that way to me. Is that this? It's almost like this, like you said, Josh. It could be its own standalone movie, right? Like
Let's
it
say
really
something
could.
that I said. Let's say something I said.
That
That's
that
how it's go.
I don't remember. But this could be a standalone movie, so that's why I think to myself, like, there's a good chance that this was like the original idea that he had, but it was like, no, I need a bigger budget, so I'm going to do this part of the universe that I had already talked about too. Like, it could have all been planned at the same time. It's just, what can I do now? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and that's just my thought on it. But with that being said, I love the effects work. I love the acting in this. I love a good foreign film. I don't mind subtitles. I love it all. This movie still stands in the top rank. I'm giving it an R. Flat out,
That's not
this
the
movie
top
is
rank at
recommended.
all.
No, no,
I know,
it's not.
that's
It's
not
not.
nice,
It's
Dave.
not the upper
I'm not.
echelon of horror, but it is a top ranking.
Okay. Okay.
It
So
is in
this
the
is like
top
second
90th.
shelf?
This is second shelf. This is second shelf.
So if you just had one shelf and you had to like double stack where you got the one DVD in the front, one in the back, this one would be in the back. That's what you're saying.
That's
Yes. Yes.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre right in front of it.
Right in the fucking front. Just saying. Excellent. Gentlemen, good discussion tonight. Rec 3. It's good to see that Josh is finally enjoying this universe
I'm
that
coming
me and-
around.
You're
I'm
coming
Can I
around.
just say something? I miss Aaron.
I miss Aaron too. I mean, I'm
I
looking down
miss
at the picture of the
Aaron.
Phantom, and it's like, you know.
It's not the same. You gotta switch that up and put a picture of Aaron. Not Aaron in makeup. Aaron's bearded little face.
With his little goofy smile.
Yeah, I miss Aaron.
I'll get a picture of Aaron. Tim, those pictures that we did that time for some of our promo stuff. Just get me one of those. It'll be like,
All right.
I'll get Aaron down there, so you know we can have Aaron down there. Okay.
Yeah. Like,
All
'cause
right.
I
Busy guy.
appreciate that, but like it's like I watched the episode and it's just like I can't see Aaron. I see his badass fucking makeup on him, but I miss Aaron.
We miss Aaron. That's right. Definitely do.
I miss Aaron. I said me.
Aw. Okay, fine. We don't miss Aaron apparently as much as Tim does, but still, gentlemen, good conversation tonight. Once
It
again.
was. But you know what? Before we end it, I like when Josh is mad at movies.
So it's not as fun. It's a good conversation, not as fun.
Yeah. It's not as fun. I like because I went back and watched all the Phantasms.
Oh
And they
boy, howdy!
are-
I get mad at those movies.
Those episodes are probably some of my favorite episodes to watch
Uh,
because Josh, you said so many things that went under the radar, and I hope this next movie pisses you off. I really do.
I want to see a pissed off Josh. Here we go.
His eyes open up. He talks like this. He gets higher. It's great. Love it.
Stop squinting.
Great time.
Stop squinting for 10 seconds at a time.
Great.
Jeepers.
Oh, man. All right, gentlemen. Well, we got to call it a night. So, with that, thank you, everybody, for tuning in and checking out this episode while we talked about Rec 3 Genesis, as it was so
Genesis.
wonderfully called earlier. So, check us out on Facebook, Misunderstood Our Company. Like, share, and subscribe. We're also on YouTube, Misunderstood Our Company. Like, share, and subscribe. We produce episodes every week, and we're also on all the major podcasting platforms, including but not limited to Google Play, iTunes, and Spotify, with more coming. And we're also on Patreon. Open up your hearts and your wallet and support us. Become a patron today. And until next time, Josh.
It's pronounced Genesis.
Tim.
Stay safe, stay spooky.
Have a good night, everybody. See you next time.
Good night!